Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day. I'll be writing things until I'm fucking buried in my grave. 6 feet deep under, but my body won't decay. Cause my messages are timeless, so they'll put them on display. Oh yeah, I rap with a certainty, I have a sense of urgency. A message for eternity, for everyone internally. I had some people burning me, but now they fucking learn to see I ain't the one to fuck with. Now they looking nervously, and I don't really care what you think of me respectfully. You can kick rocks if you think you're fucking better, see?
Hello and welcome to Castle's Corner, and I'm joined again by my co-host, Matt Morton, and this is the Adapt and Overcome podcast, and we thought we'd do something just a little bit different this week. Instead of talking about nutrition or bodybuilding or biomechanics, me and Matt are going to tell you what we both have coming up in the works a little bit, just because there's a lot of really fun stuff that we're both been working on, and we were just talking about it. We thought it'd probably be a good idea to share it with you guys so you know what to expect, and if you want, you can also join in. So, Matt, what do you have coming up, and how, by the way, how do you decide how to stagger your events and your planning, your goals for these kind of projects you work on?
Okay, I look at each project like a college degree. Which one's going to be bigger, the major or the minor? What can I get out of the way with, limited time versus this is going to take me longer for planning and, working each little piece until it's done. I'm working on a book for adaptive taekwondo. It'll be taekwondo forms done in my wheelchair, along with the self-defense and one-step sparrings. And in November, I'll be in Chicago testing with the Kooky One, the authority on World Taekwondo.
And why did you decide to do that, out of curiosity?
It was a combination of what's next, after my book and all of these things. And my instructor said, you know what, you're already on the board of directors for Mudu One International. You are doing a very good job for our adaptive programs for Hapkido and that sort of thing. So you're in administration now, we need one for Taekwondo. And especially since Taekwondo is now a Paralympic sport. This is a huge deal. I mean, this is next to European football / soccer. Taekwondo is one of the biggest sports practiced in the entire world because it's not expensive. You buy a uniform, you go to an instructor, and you learn. And it's just so healthy.
Do you happen to know when it was introduced to the paraplegics, the Olympics?
Say again?
Do you happen to know when it was introduced to the Olympics?
Yes,
I
I
was
believe
curious.
it was in the 2020 games because it was
Very
an
recently,
observation sport in 2016. So just like the movie Best of the Best, where they were talking about Taekwondo being the observational sport in 1988.
Great movie, by the way, yeah.
It has to be shown and as a sport, and then it becomes an official sport on the next rotation. So in 1992, that's when Taekwondo became an Olympic sport.
So what's the end goal with this book? I mean, I already know you're going to have all kinds of pictures and stuff in the book, but I mean, what's the end goal with the book? Like, somebody's going to buy this book for what purpose?
They're going to buy it because they're going to see that, oh, wow, I'm not the only person who's wanting to do martial arts. And is it even possible? And the goal of this book is to show, yes, it is possible. And there's, like my adaptive bodybuilding book, it's the first one out there that's really a full encompassing. I've seen books on like yoga, stretching, Pilates, whatever, just like little fitness manual kind of stuff, wheelchair exercises, but never one on bodybuilding. Same thing for Taekwondo, or any kind of martial art for that, because, unfortunately, it's taken forever for inclusion and open minds and the whole deal. But now it seems like, believe it or not, there were more Paralympic events watched than regular Olympic events watched for these 2022 games.
I totally
2020
believe
games,
that.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
It seems much more interesting and entertaining to me. I mean, no offense to the amazing athletes of the Olympics, but I mean, it does seem very interesting. It does. It's not the normal thing. You see people really overcoming adversity with their bodies, really pushing it to the limit with their training, and then competing.
And the interesting piece to that is it's not that it's better, it's that it's new. And people are like, oh, wow, how in the world are they snowboarding, differently than the others? How are they, doing gymnastics, doing swim, doing whatever the event is? I don't care. But it's something new and different. Like wheelchair basketball has been around forever, but not a lot of people know about it. Now they do,
Mhm.
you know.
And some of these things are becoming a lot more publicized lately. I don't know the reason, but it's pretty awesome that it is. And I mean, I must say, just from my own experience, I mean, most people who know me know this, but I don't just take bodybuilders and athletes as clients. I'm one of the few people that take like, I mean, just really screwed up people. Let's put it that way. I take people with really screwed up bodies. I mean, really screwed up chemistry and depression and things like that. And that's because I really enjoy helping these people because I have a skill set which allows me to. I specialize across a lot of fields, but I've never been able to have one of these, let's just call them, difficult clients without learning a considerable amount about their bodies, and in turn having to learn a lot of medical literature and new techniques, new practices. And that applies across all of my clients. It broadens my own knowledge base. Helping these athletes, these people who are handicapped or quadriplegic or anything like that, helping them for me has always been extremely rewarding, not only because of getting them where they didn't think it was even possible to get to, but also because of the experience I have learning so much, helping that person get where they want to go. Because I mean, you know this, you coach people, but we're only successful as coaches when our clients are successful. And we're only happy when they're
Oh,
happy.
absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I love helping, especially disabled people, because they really do kind of get shit on and pushed to the side and overlooked frequently. And because of that, I've never met one who didn't have an amazingly good attitude, I might add, by the way. Disabled people always tend to have the most amazing attitudes, the best senses of humor about their situation, these kinds of things. And they always have a can-do attitude. But then they'll go to doctors and doctors are like, no, you can't do that. It's impossible. No, that you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do, no, you can't play basketball. No, you can't do this. You'll never be able to raise your arms again. And they don't want to hear that, but then they hear it and they believe that. And then their condition and their lifestyle gets considerably worse because they stop pushing their limits and getting uncomfortable because they no longer feel it's safe to, because their doctor has instilled this fear in them. But I'm telling you, I mean, you know this. Anything is possible. I mean, I've helped people with no legs. I've helped quadriplegics. I've helped so many people who literally still inspire me daily, and I'm their coach, and they're inspiring me. It's truly amazing what people can overcome, and that's probably one of the main reasons why the Olympics, the Paralympics, was so popular. I would think because it's truly inspiring. It's awe-inspiring. It really, really is. Sorry, can't help myself sometimes.
No, it's 100% true. Look at the success Carrie Underwood's had with that song Champion.
Mhm.
If you watch the video, it's mostly about Paralympic athletes and, people with struggle. I had a conversation with a person and this morning, and they were so disappointed because they were always meant to be placed with folks that don't have anything wrong with them. They've been going to the gym since they were 15, and not even a knee problem. And he goes, well, how can I be judged fairly against them? And I said, just be patient. It's coming,
Mhm.
And we talked a lot, and it doesn't matter what's wrong with somebody. Their struggles are generally all the same. I have a hard time with the door. I have a hard time walking. I have a hard time with my hand. It doesn't matter. It's teaching
I,
that person how to cope
Mhm.
with that affliction.
Mhm. I think this is a big one too, especially with people like me and you. Again, just to bring it back, the more of these kind of people that we see, the more we have the ability, the flexibility, and the creativity is to help other people. So it's like, oh, I don't know how to do this. Well, then you have another client who has the same problem, and you're like, well, here's 6 different options. I came up with these helping my last client who had the
Yep.
same problem. And even if you're not a creative person, eventually you'll have a really big list in your repertoire you can just pull from. And again, I think you unfortunately you can't really teach creativity. That's one of the things that I was really kind of sad when I found out that it's kind of impossible to teach creativity. You have to have a certain level of intellect, and it's also just like a genetic predisposition to be creative. And you always know a creative person because they can't help but be creative. They feel horrible if they're not creating. You know what I mean? Like they'll wither and die if they're not doing creative endeavors. But a lot of clients in particular, it just happens to be a lot of my clients who have been disabled, they don't really have a lot of creativity. So I find you really have to give them like lists, like here's 30 things you can do in this situation. Make sure that they fully understand each one and how to apply them, because they might not just be able to figure it out on the fly. And that creates a lot of panic and anxiety. And again, more fear. If they have 30 different solutions to a problem and they're not creative, they still have 30 solutions they can try to apply. I mean, that makes sense, I imagine.
Oh, absolutely. You know, and there's always that piece of, wow, they're looking at me because I'm different, you know.
Mhm.
And a lot of it's in your own head,
Mhm.
because decent normal people want to stop and open the door for you. Hold on, like give me a second and all that. You know, remember when we were talking about the reason why people don't make gains in the gym or with their diet or do whatever the problem may be? They will not get out of their own way.
Mhm.
They
Right,
stay
usually.
just
Yep.
camped in their head with all this negativity instead of just saying, who cares? I got to do what I can do.
I don't know if you know who this guy is, but he's a comedian. He's a friend of Joe Rogan. His name is Duncan Trussell. I came across him recently. He said something. Well, he said several things that really resonated with me. One of the things he said was, you need to learn how to sink into who you are and just stop caring about the opinions of others. And I thought it was just a really nice way to put it. People have difficulty discovering who they are because most people really at their core are just kind of 5% themselves. And then they're like 95% other people's words and ideas and ideologies and things they've run across but haven't actually explored. So they just regurgitate it because it's easier than thinking for themselves. This is unfortunately most people. But when you start to burn away all that outer layer of shit that's not actually you, the part of you that is you gets to grow. And I mean, other people will hate you for it. Other people won't understand why you're quote unquote changing. You're not changing, you're becoming who you're supposed to be. And literally everyone is a different kind of human. But you're never going to discover who you truly are until you actually literally sink into who you are. You need to isolate yourself from other people. There's opinion. Separate yourself from your phone and all of the videos to discover who you are. But this is a scary process because we rely on other people to kind of center us in reality, if you will, their opinions and things. But you really do truly have to become yourself first in order to be happy. And I would think a lot of advantage, again, that people like disabled people, and I can kind of say this because it's going to sound funny, but I'm in a wheelchair multiple times in my life. I've been forced to be in a wheelchair for months at a time sometimes. So I kind of get it from both sides. You know what I mean? I've seen situations where I'm in my wheelchair and everybody really treats you completely goddamn differently than when you're not in a wheelchair. I've seen when people will open a door to me pretending to be polite, but it's just to impress the girl behind them because they want to fuck her. You know what I mean? So they're doing that for me instead of actually being a nice human. You know what I mean? I've seen all sides
Yes.
of it. But disabled people, they tend to be isolated more. They're more alone with their thoughts. And this is why I think that they have a better sense of humor, why they usually have a more positive outlook on life, generally speaking, is because they're literally more themselves than other people, because they've had more time to learn to be themselves alone and to learn to adapt to their own unique new problems, which no one else experiences. So it's kind of a perk of being disabled, I think. I don't want to say it like that because
No, really, it is,
but it
because
kind of is, you know.
it's silly. It's like that comic book Daredevil. He loses his sight so he can hear better.
It gains more, yeah.
And that's okay, because sometimes a negative becomes a positive.
Mhm. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, and you too, we've been in it, in the middle of it, and it's all bad, and it's all
Oh, yeah.
horrible, it's all negative. But then a year later, you're like, man, I'm glad I went through that. I sure am glad I learned to deal with that and I came out because I learned all of this. And I'm tougher and I'm mentally stronger than other people. I can handle more pain than other people. This is good. But to get stronger, you have to get uncomfortable, and you have to get out of your way to get uncomfortable, because you don't want to be uncomfortable. You want to be safe and sound, and in a little space where everything's comfortable and you know what everything is. You have food and shelter, and yeah, that's you. That's not good. You literally ignite and turn on new genes when you experience new things, when you meet new people, when you go to new restaurants, when you go to new places in the world, you hear new language, you hear new music. You literally unlock new genes, new neuroplasticity in your brain. You literally become a different person when you experience new things. And to regularly make yourself uncomfortable, truly, I think is extremely important. I talk about it all the time, getting uncomfortable on a daily basis, but it has to be personally uncomfortable. It can't be like, I think spiders are scary, so today I'm going to hold a spider. No, it has to be something like, I personally am terrified of heights. I don't even want to go up a ladder. Okay, well, go up a ladder. There's your uncomfortable thing for the day. Go to the top of the ladder. It has to be something personal. For me, I hate swings. Don't ask me why. I don't have a good reason. I can't even dig out a good logical reason why I don't like swings. I mean, just like a playground swing. If I sit on one and I start moving like that pendulum motion, I get sick to my stomach. I freeze up. I tighten up. I get that weird anxiety. Now I can overcome it if I correct my breathing and I slow down my heart rate, and I will be able to swing, but it's only through literally sheer force of will I'm doing it. I'm still terrified the whole time, but it swings for me. I don't know, but just me getting uncomfortable. Sometimes I'll be at the park, I'll be running or jogging or walking, maybe training a client or something, and I'll see the swings and I'll go over and I'll just swing, and I'll get off and I'll be covered in sweat just because I fucking hated it. But I'm glad I did it. It's like taking a cold shower in the morning. For some people, they don't want to take a cold shower in the morning. It's something they really don't want to do. Well, if you take a cold shower in the morning, the rest of your day is going to seem like a breeze. You're going to accomplish more. You'll have an increased sense of willpower and strength because you want to battle. I mean, I don't want to get into it. So I'm getting off topic here, but what else do you have in the works, Matt? What else you got in the works coming up?
Well, that's just pretty much it. I mean, that's a lot because I'm transferring 14 different forms into a wheelchair, along with self-defense techniques and one-step sparring. So that's a pretty massive undertaking. Because you got to think, am I in the correct spacing? Am I doing this right? Is this how it was intended?
Is it useful?
And the whole thing.
Is it functional? Yeah.
It's not just swinging my arms and hoping for the best.
Well, I mean, it's not a viable strategy. So I was literally just.
How you were talking about being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily like being the one in charge. I don't really like, and I never liked it in the Marine Corps.
There's a lot riding on you when you're in charge. If there's any fuck ups, it's on you.
Yeah, and every freaking set of two eyes is on you, and the more people that see it, they're like, and I'm so much. I got told simply by one of my friends, he's an engineer. He said, "You know what? Shut up." We were talking about this, and he goes, "You know what, man? Shut up. If you weren't good, people wouldn't ask you to do these things."
It's one of those things too, I mean, everyone hears it, but you're never ready to be a leader, and you're never ready for the next level. That's
a real leader will never say that they're good at leadership.
Because they're second guess. That's like me. I'm never going to say I'm the best at biomechanics. I'm the best at, no, I don't know enough. There's not enough. I'm not good enough. There's somebody who knows more than I. There's always. But I mean, as a comparison, back, obviously I started as a cook and became a sous chef, et cetera. But back when I was just a cook, and I always wanted to be the sous chef. You want to be the sous chef. Well, you want to be the chef, but you got to go up. So you got to start garde manger, then you got to work over to, saute or whatever, composed entree you call it. So you got to work your way up the system. Now this is fine dining. This isn't like a standard restaurant. There's kind of a regimented thing you do in fine dining. So, you have to be able to work all the positions. After you can work all the positions, you also have to be smart enough as well as vocal enough and on everyone's good side, basically, to then become the sous chef. Now, when you're the sous chef, you are essentially the chef. Your job is to make sure the chef doesn't have to fucking do anything. That's kind of your job as the sous chef. It's unofficial. It's not what your official job is, but it's unofficially you want to do everything the chef does so he doesn't have to do anything. So I always wanted to be the chef, of course. That's the goal, to be the chef. And every time I would say, okay, well, the next thing I got to learn is I have to learn how to perfectly saute this piece of fish. I have to learn how to perfectly do this. Every time I had to learn a new station, it was clearly defined what you had to do to master that station. To master grill, you have to be able to cook a large variety of steaks, pork, chicken, fish to a perfect desired temperature, and you can't screw it up because these are $80, $90 pieces of meat. If you screw it up, you're screwed. So you have to master grill. Then after grill, you have to master sauce, etc. You know what I mean? So there's very clearly laid out hierarchy, just like in the Army. You know exactly the next steps to take. Now, you always want to be the top guy. But what I discovered is when you are the top guy, at least for me in the beginning, it was pretty miserable. It was pretty horrible because you guys would know it as extreme ownership. I just call it like complete responsibility for everything, but I take full responsibility for everything. So if the dishwasher didn't show up for work, that's my fault. Okay, I got to fix that problem. If the saute cook burned a piece of fish, that's my fault. I didn't teach him correctly. That's on me. You know what I mean? Everything in that restaurant was my fault. And it's really, really scary knowing everything that goes wrong is on you. But if you take that responsibility, it's much better than unwillingly being a leader, not wanting to take responsibility for everything, trying to play the blame game, etc., all these things. But anyways, the point I'm trying to make here is that in order to get to somewhere that you want to go, you have to have these clearly defined, laid out steps to go up the hierarchy. You have to master each step along the way, because if you don't, it's going to bite you in the ass when you're finally the chef and you don't know how to properly grill. That's going to bite you in the ass. Of course, I don't think I have to explain that. But it's not going to be good if you don't know how all the stations work, basically. Let's put it that way. You won't be able to organize everything properly. You won't be able to double check the food that they didn't screw it up before you send it out, a couple things. But anyways, and on top of that, when you are finally in that leadership role, you have to take full responsibility. And how that translates to you guys, obviously, if it's at your job, you should do that as the boss. But even if you're not the job, if you're just a cook and you want to be the chef, you take full responsibility for everything on your station. If we're not talking about the job, we're talking about your personal life. Well, are you fat? Well, take responsibility for that. You're fat. You did it. Undo it. Don't blame somebody else. No, it's not your genetics. No, the hospital. No, it's not your medication. No, it's none of those things. Okay. You did it. You can fix it.
Put your fork down.
Exactly. Learn better techniques. More volume, less calories, more protein. We have videos on this. You guys know. But just take responsibility for your life. You guys will find that when you take responsibility and you lay out a clear path towards what you want, and of course the path will change. As you're advancing on your goal, it's going to shift. It's going to change its location. It's going to change. But you have to have some kind of clearly laid out steps saying, I'm going in this direction till something shifts you another way. And then you'll need to have, again, those clearly laid out bricks, as I call them, obviously. But and then you can be building your castle with those bricks or taking your steps, however you want to compare it. But that's the general idea. Now, this is, I guess I'll just lead into what I'm up to with this. What I've been up to lately is very similar, and I've actually been demonstrating the process to show you guys how easy it is. So I think 3 days ago, I uploaded the first video in my new series, and it's just a monthly challenge. So in this particular video, apologies if you guys have seen it, but in this particular video, over the course of 30 days, I spent 10 minutes a day improving myself, as you do, and I chose 3 different activities. So the first activity I chose was to spend 5 minutes a day learning how to draw a muscular human figure. And obviously my first one was horrible. It was like a smiley face with a square torso. It was terrible. But it was a 5-minute timer, and that's what I got done. I did 4 minutes of middle splits because I've always been very inflexible and I just kind of always wanted to be able to do a split. Seemed like a fun thing to do. So 4 minutes of middle splits and then 1 minute of handstand practice. Again, I just wanted to be able to do a handstand. So I'll spare you the details, but at the end of the month, only committing to 10 minutes a day, 5 minutes, 4 minutes, and 1 minute of each one of these activities. The end of the month, I can do a complete middle split, full middle split. I can draw a really, in my opinion anyways, good looking muscular figure. Everybody, I think, would agree, at least it looks like a muscular human. At the very minimum, they would agree on that. And I have no difficulty doing a handstand or handstand walking or anything else. And it was through literally 1 minute, 4 minute, and 5 minutes of effort on a daily basis. So this is just goes back to consistency and having a clearly laid out plan. Before I started this, I very simply researched each one of these. What's the best way to do it? What problems am I going to encounter when doing this? Then I created a plan which avoided all of these problems and would get me the best results. I then applied the plan for 30 days. Now that was the first 30 days. I've already started working on my next 30 days. So basically every month, I'm just going to learn 3 new skills. And I've already started working on the next series. I'll keep you guys updated on it, but there's no reason you guys can't do it as well. It's very simple. It's consistency. It's a couple minutes a day. And every day you get 30 to 40% better when you sleep. So the next day when you practice again, you're better. So that's one of my new series I have coming up, just to kind of motivate you guys who say you can't learn stuff and whatever. It's not hard. It's just consistency. And consistency is not genetic. You're not born with it. You can't buy it. Consistency is something every human can get. It's discipline. And again, nobody's special. You have to work to get discipline just like every other human in the world. You don't have little disciplined babies being born. I don't even know what that would look like, but there's no such thing. It doesn't exist. So that's one thing I have coming up. I have my new cookbook. It's almost done. I have the photo shoot for it in 3 weeks. It's going to be fun. Me looking all sexy with an apron on, holding food and shit. What this is going to be is a meal prep cookbook. It's going to be how to meal prep, really like simple, super ridiculous. You know how I am, guys. Super ridiculously simple. It's going to have a bunch of literally like idiot-proof recipes with 3 or 4 items and a whole bunch more complex recipes, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks. You get the idea. And of course, everything is going to be at least the best I know of how to make it. So everything will be very low calorie, high volume, high protein, good tasting, very easy to prepare, easy to source the materials, all these things. I have another book I'm working on. I'm not going to get too much into it yet because I'm not sure what direction it's going to go, but I'm working with Jerry Brainham on writing a comprehensive muscle building book. So it should be really fun. I don't know if I'm going to be the author or the co-author, I'm not sure, but one or the other. So that's fun. I have a couple podcasts coming up with really fun guests, a couple IFBB pros and a few other bodybuilders to talk about their upcoming competitions or their wins in the competitions through using biomechanics. I have Doug coming on soon. I have his partner Mo coming on soon. We're going to have Oz back on. That's just the YouTube channel. I have a couple new inventions coming out as well. One of them you guys have probably seen. It's the portable gym. You can make it for $28. It's amazing. You can take it everywhere. Not to pat myself on the back, but it's pretty cool how I came up with it. Check out that video if you haven't. I uploaded it yesterday. It's already got like 500 hits or something, I think. So definitely check it out. I have another video how to make one. It's very simple, 6-minute video. Anyone can make one. This is not like you have to be a carpenter, or it's this, go to Home Depot, buy a handful of shit and put it together. It's not like, you can be anyone and make this. Anyone can use one. Even if you're a professional bodybuilder, you can use this. Everyone. So I have that coming up. I have another one, a demonstration of the leg splitting machine that I built. So I was able to do splits in 30 days. Around day 20, I realized I wasn't going to make it with only 10 days to spare. So I created a machine for about $10 to give myself the ability to split in 10 days. I'll spare the details. You'll see the video.
Oh, you didn't do the Van Damme pulleys in Bloodsport.
No, but that's where I got the idea from. It's where I got the idea from, actually. I love that scene where he's, when I was a kid, I must have watched that movie like 30 times. Goes,
oh, I know I did.
Kumite. That wonderful, what was it, 60s music, I think, or 70s music? I can't remember.
That was an 80s thing.
Was it 80s? Jesus. Good movie, though. Still a good movie. What else do I have coming up? Jesus Christ, I have so many things coming up. I have a new community gym that I'm building. I have a new program that I'm designing for personal trainers. So this is going to be a program for personal trainers who want to learn biomechanics, as well as how to train their clients either out of their house, out of the gym, or out of their client's house. So what they would need to bring, just a very small bag, essentially, along with the knowledge. And I'll actually stop because I have a few more things coming up, but I don't want to give everything away. But as you guys know, I'm a very busy person. I manage, I don't even know how many clients at the moment, anything from 40 to 60 clients I manage, as well as my own shit, the podcast, the interviews, the books. I write at least 2 or 3 articles a month as well. Every week I put up 7 to 8 YouTube videos. I'm, super busy with my lectures, everything I'm doing, my builds. So again, but I get all of this done working a 16-hour day, roughly. I mean, I do 7 days a week, but some days I'll take like a half day, only work 8 or 9 hours. But basically, the only way I'm able to accomplish all of this is not because I have a team. I don't have a team. I'm me, just me, only one of me. I just work a lot and I work intelligently. So before I start a project, I learn what I can about it before I start. That doesn't mean I learn how somebody else did it. I just learned the basics. Then I formulate my own strategy. I usually wait a week or two while this is happening. So I actually have times I'll be just kind of walking around the store or on the treadmill, and I'll be thinking, what's the best way to build this? And I'll come up with a thought and I'll write it down. Then next day, I'll be like, I just came up with a really good way to improve it. I don't have to use that. I can use this. It'll be even cheaper and simpler. And I'll keep doing that for like a week. Same thing with my recipe book. I was thinking about the recipe book, how I was going to put it together for about 2 months before I actually started. But the reason for that was in that 2 months time, I basically put the entire thing together in my head. Listen, you jump like that, Matt. Jesus, calm down. Just a puppy. Not on my side, by the way. That was on Matt's side. That's why he's jumping. Oh, sure. I lost my train of thought with the dog. Well, it doesn't matter. I was probably saying some silly nonsense. But anyways, that's what I have coming up, guys. So basically, make sure you stay tuned to my YouTube channel. Matt's going to start uploading these podcasts on his YouTube channel as well. So tune in over there. Are you going to be having any guests on for interviews anytime soon?
I'm looking into who I can have and that sort of thing.
I'm sure you know plenty of people who'd be willing. Definitely, you should definitely reach out to Doug and Jerry. Like I said, I'm sure they'd be delighted. They're always more than happy to take time. You might just have to schedule it a couple of weeks out. That's all. But definitely, I mean, I was telling Doug about you the other day. He really wants to chat with you, actually. Seems like he's quite interested in what you're getting yourself into. So I didn't give anything away. I just told him a couple of things about you.
No, I understand. Well, thank you for having me.
No worries. Let's wrap it up for the day, guys. We just really wanted to, provide you a little bit of education about how to get shit done, a little inspiration. So y'all start working on yourself too. 4, 5, 10 minutes a day. Trust me, your future self is going to thank you, because that 10 minutes will turn into 15 minutes and then some more caring, and then 20, 30, 40 minutes. And pretty soon you're on your way to a pretty awesome life. But start small. Don't have an ego. Don't just listen to this and be like, man, I'm not going to do anything. No, go do something. We care about you guys. We want you to become better people. I want everyone to be a better people. I mean, the solution to everybody's problems is everyone gets smarter and better. If everybody gets smarter and better, the world gets better. So let's all get better. Let's just all get better. If we can ever help out, reach out to us. All of our links are in the description. Always, I'll have Matt back on next week. I have a ton of interviews lined up too, guys. So make sure you stay tuned for those. And one last thing I wanted to cover and mention on this one is it doesn't matter if you're listening to us on a podcast, if you're watching a YouTube video, if you're reading a book. I don't care how you're studying. Make sure that whatever you're doing it with questions. So if you're reading a book, read the book with questions. What am I trying to learn from this chapter? What am I learning from this chapter? When you put the book down, ask yourself questions. What did I just read? What did I just learn? What do I remember? How am I going to apply it to my life? And it's the same thing when you're watching one of me or Matt's training videos. Don't just passively watch it. Don't just be like, oh, yeah, Matt and Castle, they're getting after it. No, watch it like, where's his elbows? How fast is he moving? Why is he doing that? How is he gripping it? How is he breathing? Watch with questions so that when you go to apply it to yourself, you're like, oh shit, I wish I could remember. No, build the cues yourself while you're watching us. When you're listening to a podcast, when you finish it, don't just put it down. Take a couple notes about what you remembered and what you just learned, even if they're just mental notes. I mean, anything to add on that one, Matt? I just really wanted to mention that.
Be a good note taker.
Yeah. Lots of notes, guys. There's no difference between writing and thinking. If you are a good writer, you're also a good thinker and a good speaker. So, well, not necessarily a good speaker. There's other things that go along with that, but you're going to be a much better speaker than somebody who doesn't. So don't just passively learn, everybody. Make sure you are actively learning every day, and make sure you are learning with questions. I don't have to tell you guys this, but your life is never going to change. You're never going to get any better at anything if you don't actively learn. So you guys need to be going out there, actively learn, educating yourself, asking questions, and even better is when you make your life much better, start helping somebody else. I say it all the time, but when you're doing better, that does not mean that you build a higher fence. It means that you build a longer table so you can help other people. We are all in this together and nobody's getting out alive. So everybody stay on your grind, do the work, because me and Matt can't do it for you. We can only give you the education and, maybe a little shitty motivation that we can give you, but that's about it, guys. Motivation is very fleeting. So grind and educate yourselves. Matt, as always, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon, bud.
Thank you.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yeah, go, go, go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, or the highway. And in the driveway is a nice range. Cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. They'll deceive with the negativity, but I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go.